Tracking a tropical system at 6 o'clock in the Gulf that will make a Louisiana landfall. That's the latest track for what is expected to become a tropical depression sometime today.
Obviously a lot going on right here. You can see that ahead of us, ahead of this storm, we have team coverage. Our Liz Coe right there with the sandbag locations. Graham Elkins in our alert center with some unbelievable pictures of people getting ready at the grocery stores. A live look at the track, and of course Diane Deaton on that timeline.
Good morning, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. You are waking up again this morning. No tropical depression, not yet, in the Gulf of Mexico. This is still potential tropical cyclone 2. Apparently, according to the National Hurricane Center, at the 1 o'clock advisory, at the 4 o'clock advisory, they're saying the center of circulation out here in the Gulf of Mexico still is not well defined, and it has moved very little since you saw it last night when Jay was talking about it at 10 o'clock and 10:15. So again, we are anticipating, though, as it moves on to the west, that of course, you have favorable conditions. That environment is ripe for more development. We are still looking for a tropical storm, tropical depression first, then tropical storm. And then we are still anticipating a Category 1 Hurricane Barry bearing down on our coast, the coast of Louisiana, early Saturday, making landfall. And again, it looks like it's going to be right here in the central Gulf Coast region as far as our state is concerned. As I've been saying all morning, don't just focus on this line that shows pretty much right on top of Baton Rouge. There is still a pretty large window of uncertainty. We're still a couple, 2 or 3 days out. Could wobble a little bit more to the east. It could wobble a little bit more to the west. But the bottom line is make sure you have your hurricane plans ready now for your family, because we're most certainly going to have an impact from Barry no matter what over the course of the weekend. Then, of course, it moves on to the north and is a huge rainmaker for a portion of the Tennessee Valley, as well as it's going to be a rainmaker around here. Hurricane watches, tropical storm watches in effect, storm surge watch in effect. Likewise, we do have that flash flood watch now in our area, including south of Mississippi. That has now been extended into Sunday morning, Johnny.
Thank you, Diane. And you can depend on WAFB with First Alert Traffic to take Diane's radar and overlay the radar on top of our traffic maps all weekend long. We're going to put the radar in motion right now, and you can see in our immediate area we're looking pretty good this morning. We are getting some reports of some varied power outages in the Hammond-Ponchatoula area this morning. If you come upon a intersection, if you're driving, and of course the lights are all out due to power outages, treat that as a four-way stop. More on that coming up. This is I-10 near Prairieville. Everything's really moving fine this morning. I-10 out of Denham Springs is also good. I-12 out of Denham Springs. Both ferry boats are running this morning. Make sure you keep up with us all weekend with your 9 News app and the First Alert Weather app as well. 6:02, Lauren.
Johnny, in just a couple of hours, we're getting another update on how the state is preparing for this rough Gulf weather. Governor Edwards is meeting today with state officials. He's expected to hold another news conference around lunchtime. This comes a day after he declared a state of emergency for Louisiana. We will bring you his update live on WAFB, our 9 News app, and our WAFB Channel 9 Facebook page.
Of course, while he and other state leaders prepare for the worst, he says, of course, we all need to be prepared as well. One way you can do that by making sure your home is protected from any potential water. Our Liz Coe is live right now, one of the sandbag locations in Baton Rouge, with details on where we can go to get that sand. Liz?
Yeah, Matt, at 6:03, we have to show you this. People are coming and actually getting those sandbags well ahead of the storm. That means they're taking heed and following the advice by preparing their homes. You see this gentleman here came within the last 5 minutes, now packing up that sandbag to protect his home. Now, this is one of 11 locations where you can pick up a sandbag around East Baton Rouge Parish. We're at the Breck Memorial Stadium here. That's right off of the I-110. And the only thing you need to bring is a shovel. You see, he came prepared here, and you want to consider coming out early. You can see there's a lot of bags laid out here. Lots of people have already made their way through. If you're trying to think about which location you're going to go to, well, there's quite a few, as I mentioned, 11 in total. Airline Highway Fairgrounds, Elson Park, Cadillac Street, Hartley Vayette Gardier, and Lovett Road Park. Those are just a few of the Breck Park locations. The St. George Fire Department headquarters there on Airline Highway. There's also sand and sandbags available there. But there's also a really neat resource the City Parish offers offers. They offer a live tracker, which you can see here if we can get that pulled up for you. If you hover over the stars, you'll see all of the different sandbag locations in the city, parish, and if you hover over it, it'll show you whether there is still sand or sandbag available there. So that's a great resource for you, so you don't waste the trip, you don't waste your time, and you know where you're going is going to have those resources available. Now, we actually have most of the parishes in our viewing area offering up those sandbags for residents. If you want to take a good look at that, you can actually head to our 9 News app. We have that full list of locations and addresses there. In the meantime, let's check in with Graham Elkins in the Alert Center. Graham, good morning.
Good morning to you, Liz. Yeah, folks stocking up on sand, and they're also stocking up on supplies at grocery stores. This photo taken at the Target on Segan Lane here in Baton Rouge. You can see the bread aisle is already looking pretty sparse. This taken yesterday. Hopefully they're able to restock a little bit today, but today is the day really to get out to those stores, because tomorrow is going to be even busier as folks try to get their supplies. Also, check out a picture from the Walmart neighborhood market here in Baton Rouge. You can see that aisle completely wiped out. So folks are making sure to get everything they need, as we're telling you to do, just in case you need it. That includes filling up your gas tanks as well. It can be important for generators if you want to fill up the portable gas cans as well. So don't wait. Get out there today, because it's going to be even busier tomorrow as this storm gets a little bit closer and a little better organized. Matt?
Absolutely right. Folks getting prepared, Graham. Thank you. We continue to see city preparations happening. Baton Rouge first responders putting these out right here, the barricades, putting them in place, staging them, just in case we see the street flooding. They can act pretty quickly. The barricades are set up in the usual trouble spots. Police saying they're going to be used to block off the road when we see the flooding begin. If you try and drive around those barricades, by the way, once they're in place, you can be ticketed. Yeah, crews from DOTD will continue spending most of the day today cleaning out area ditches, trying to prevent standing water and flooding. Our 9 News crew joined DOTD yesterday as they checked pumping stations across East Baton Rouge, making sure they're functioning properly for the heavy rains we could see this weekend. Now, we're told the larger pumps can clear out about 9,000 gallons of water per minute. However, one of the biggest reasons the pumps may not be as effective sometimes during these heavy rain events is because of litter blocking the flow. So crews have to make sure the pump screens are clear and free of trash. As of now, DOTD expects the pumps to do their job as we head into the weekend.
They do come on automatically, but they have an alarm system, so if something goes awry, they can call. It reaches our guys who can come in and turn them on manually. Sometimes when we know that the event is coming, we can pre-stage and have people here ready.
One of 7 pumps across the parish includes one near the Acadian Underpass. Rodney Mallett with DOTD, you just heard from, says in a bid to redo some of the pumps and help move even more water than what they do now. Of course, we won't see those changes this weekend, but definitely something to look forward to. It's a big effort underway to keep your lights and your AC on. Entergy and Demco both saying their crews are on standby for whatever happens. Say crews are ready to head out and restore power if we see the widespread outages. Big safety reminder for you this morning as well. The companies say never, ever go near any of those down power lines, even if you think they might not be active. This morning, a mandatory evacuation in Plaquemines Parish is going into effect. A voluntary one is also in effect for Grand Isle. Now, over in Plaquemines Parish, this applies to the entire East Bank and West Bank, starting at Oakville South to Venice. Parish leaders worry the possibility of a big storm surge could force water to overtop the levee. The parish president urges people to listen to their warnings and leave.
We know it's kind of quickly that we're asking you to evacuate. We don't think a lot of the bad weather will come until Friday evening, so it gives you ample opportunity to move, gives you ample opportunity to secure your property. So we want you to listen to us, prepare to evacuate, and move forward. He says anyone who does not have the means to evacuate should call them. They'll coordinate a pickup. The mandatory evacuation begins at 6 a.m. We love getting out on the water down here in the summertime, right? Not like this. I mean, folks grabbing kayaks, just getting around their neighborhoods. This is mid-city New Orleans. You had up to 8 inches of water falling in just a handful of hours yesterday, creating some real problems all over the city. And now this morning, cleanup beginning for many business owners as the bigger storm gets closer to the coast. One restaurant on Magazine Street hasn't even opened the doors yet. Already dealing with a bit of damage. Owners say they're trying to dry out, but much of the water coming in came from cars rushing by, creating those wakes.
And there was almost like a foot of water still inside that pooled all the way up to the back of the restaurant. By the time that I got here about 11, there was still like 3 or 4 inches in here. It's crazy. I deal with water all the time here. This isn't my first flood. You know, we're locals, we're born and raised, and you just kind of have to get in there, clean it up, and get it ready to go.
Yeah, but it could be made easier. So to cut back on flooding from cars, officials urging people stay off the flooded roads.
A setback for families that had damage to their homes from that June 6th storm in our part of the world. The Baton Rouge Mayor's office tells us based on the damage assessment surveys, the weather event did not meet the criteria necessary for homeowners to get FEMA assistance. The mayor says they've reached out to a local nonprofit and volunteer organizations to help rebuild. If you need help, you're urged to reach out to the mayor's office for details, and we'll be talking with her in about 5 minutes here in the studio.
And as you're waking up this morning, nothing at all on First Alert Doppler radar, but we're looking at First Alert Future radar right around 5 o'clock. And all this rain, this is going to start banding in from that system in the Gulf. Incidentally, still not a tropical depression.
No weather-related traffic issues expected this morning. In fact, your drive time from Bayou Plaquemine to the Baton Rouge Bridge, only 14 minutes up LA 1.
As if first responders don't already have enough to deal with, right? Across Louisiana, also have to deal with investigating multiple shootings in the New Orleans area. We'll take you there.
At 6:11, we are expecting to hear from Baton Rouge Mayor President Sharon Westenbroom in the next hour. She'll join us to discuss storm preparations, making sure your family is safe. There's a look at the track. Stay tuned.